Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Global Money News Review. My name is Ola, and on this channel, every Saturday, 9 a.m. GMT plus 1, we talk about global news. We'll explain how it affects your pocket and what you should be doing next. So, if this is your first time, please subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss out. And so, as if you don't know, what we do every week is that we talk about global news, African news, and the Nigerian news, right? So, we'll just get right into it. So let's start with the global news. Yeah. So for global news, the first thing I'm sure, if you were in the news, if you open any news anywhere, right, you would have heard the whole DeepSeek versus Nvidia drama, right? So what literally happened was that there was an announcement from China of a new AI model that could do everything and was going to be open source, meaning that it was going to be free and all. And then the markets really tanked, right, on the back of it. Nasdaq was crying, or well, the tech side of the market, right, really crashed on the back of it, and all, or part of the tech actually, because Apple was still growing in the midst of it. Did you notice? But what do I want to highlight here? Because it has been flogged everywhere. But the question, I mean, someone reached out in the comments like, "Oh, Nvidia is crashing on the back of this. Should I be jumping in? Should I be buying?" And then I asked a question because I have experience as a trader. I started my career as a trader, right? And I know the mindset of a trader. I know the mindset of an investor. And then I asked, I said, "What has changed about your opinion on Nvidia if you are an investor?" And the person could not talk. I said, "This DeepSeek and what they are offering, right? Out of all that Nvidia does, out of all the market that they are selling, and out of their target area, because there's also political lines around adoption and stuff, and around security, data privacy, all those things. Um, what long-term impact do you think this will have? Like at least in today's market, like what do you think will happen to Nvidia, right?" And the person could not talk. And for me, like yes, we hear the news. What I told them in the end was, see, news, responding to news is for traders. If you want to trade the news, trade it. And what would you do? Oh, Nvidia, everybody's market sentiment is sell. When you hit your exit price, you buy back and you rest. That's it. But if you are an investor, when you hear news like that, you pull back, right? You actually pull back and ask yourself, what impact will this have in the long term? What impact would this have in the long term? If you think the impact is going to be long, then you either hold or you sell. But I dare say that, except if it's significant news like fraud or the fact that they've actually not been making the money, like N1, if like Google N1, right? Those kind of information. Or there was one company in Germany like 2 years ago, right? If it's those kind of news where you just realize that they've been cooking their books and stuff like that, then you can actually say, "Oh, I'm exiting." But if it's like external news, you have to actually pull back and analyze it. Now, the funny thing is that, okay, yes, the whole DeepSeek thing, people opened accounts, let's see what's happening there, and it's free for all the things that you'll be paying ChatGPT, you'll be paying subscription with ChatGPT to get done, and all that. But the noise is over. Apart from the fact that the noise is over, like 2 days later, there were some data privacy issues that were raised from some company. I can't remember the name right now. It's an Israeli company, right? And they were talking about, so we discovered some data privacy issues with DeepSeek, and people that have put their data on might have been compromised. Guys, no they rush this money thing. No they rush, right? Doesn't mean that no, that's the end of DeepSeek. Definitely not. There'll be refinements, there'll be all that. It's definitely not the end. However, you need to calm down if you're an investor, a long-term investor. But if you're a trader, trade the news, trade it trade it quickly. The funniest thing is that I know someone who had heard DeepSeek was coming. He's an AI guy, and he actually shorted, and he has closed his position. So you see, it is very important to understand something. When you are selling, somebody is buying. So if you want to panic to sell, the question is, that person that is buying, why are they buying? Do you understand? For you to say that there was a trade closed at a certain price, it means that there was a willing buyer and a willing seller. So think about it. Don't just think, everybody is selling. No, for them to be selling, somebody's buying. Yeah, yeah. So on to the next news. What I wanted to highlight here is really in fact, that different central banks are just trying to figure themselves out. So the European Central Bank has cut rates, right? And because of slow economic growth, right? But on the other hand, Canada is also considering, but on the other hand, Canada is also considering cutting rates, right? But America held. Why? What we are seeing right now is a reflection of what's happening in the economy globally and how central banks are owning their own conversations. Yes, you might be saying that, okay, some countries might be growing, but we're not growing the way we want to grow. So we can't act like them, right? And so in for the people in those countries where there was that general sentiment of, oh, rates are gonna come down, blah 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 blah. You see that it's not panning out the way we thought it would, especially because America, the country of the world, that is trying to show the world, America, the country of the world, is not cutting rates they would the way we had hoped. But I mean, they had given guidance, right? But what am I saying? As an individual living in any country in the world, see these things: central banks cutting rates, central banks guidance on inflation, all those things, they actually affect your pocket too. Like this story, they affect. It's not just news in the news. What is happening in America, what's happening in Europe, it affects your pockets. Especially if you are now living in those countries, I'm sure you know that it affects your pockets. So you have to stay on top of it. You also have to be looking at the things, the pointers, and know when the cheese is moving. So you position yourself effectively. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, and I see that we can see that we have a free webinar today, later today at 6 p.m. GMT plus one. If you haven't registered already, the link is in my bio, right? Because you don't want to miss it. All this talk about economy, blah, 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 the way it points down to you is actually in your investment decisions, because that's the way you can grow your wealth into the future. So if you haven't already, you can scan the barcode that is on your screen, right? I think I'll just leave it permanently for today. Let's be permanent real estate. Scan the barcode on your screen and register. It is today, so you don't want to miss it. And please share with a friend also. Thank you. Now, off to Africa news. Now, Africa is quite interesting, and I dare say, I'm saying it, you guys, if you watched The Men Who Built America, um, and you've watched the whole series, just look at the time stamps for each of those stories, right? It's time, like it takes time. But they built America, and America is the country of the world. Guys, small, small, small. Africa is taking shape small by small. It's slow. It's slow, no doubt. Could it be faster? We don't know, right? But this is where it is. But we cannot doubt the fact that things are literally taking shape. I remember sometime last year I talked about the fact that Ghana announced they announced that they were going to start refining their gold, because gold is one major asset that they have. And before that, they used to export the raw gold itself, and so they were going to start refining. Now, that was fantastic news. Why? Because the extra value you add in the value chain, like it's significant in terms of economic returns, right? But now they've taken it a step further. They are setting up a board. Now, what is a board? Generally, there's something called commodities board. So if, for example, you are a wheat farmer in America, there will most likely, I've not even checked, but there will most likely be a wheat commodity board, right? What that board does is that it regulates and standardizes the pricing of that commodity. So just think of it like the stock exchange for gold or stock exchange for whatever. But the difference between stock exchange and this is that even stock exchange, there's even a standard, right? You must meet some certain criteria before you are listed. But this one, what they do is that they could have grades. Let's say it's ginger, they'll have grades of ginger, and there'll be clear pricing for each of them or each of those grades, right? What does it do? For the farmer who is producing, right? He can say, okay, I am going to be selling this grade of whatever, and he knows how much he's going to sell. Now, another thing that he does is he knows how much he's going to sell at. That's the price, right? Another thing that it does is that it puts you in the context of the global standard for that thing as a farmer. So the board won't just get up and set their own standard. They would actually look at international standard for that particular product or commodity. So it takes you up. Like if you want to meet grade A, like you know what grade A looks like and you go for it. Right now, the third thing that it does is that people that want to buy your produce from outside, or people that whoever the buyer is, gives them a ready market. What are they doing? They have created, they are actually in the process of creating a proper ecosystem for their gold that is an asset to them. Because commodities can be a little iffy, especially from when you are the producer, right? The people that have more structure, the people that are importing a certain standard and can blah, 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 blah. But now it's like Ghana is getting ready to take off. And I think everybody's here for it, right? I'm happy for them. And I hope that other African countries begin to take up these things when it comes to their raw assets that they have, like the ones that they mine from the ground, all their mining assets, that you have to create a system or a structure around it, or else I could buy the same gold from one person, negotiate down based on the person's hunger level, and buy it at $1. And the next person who is not so hungry, I will buy at 10. But I'll first of all max out the $1 person. So you can see that distortion in the economy. But if I meet a certain standard, everybody knows how much this thing costs. Everybody knows what the international market price is, and you just have to meet up with it. Clear? Clear? Yep, I believe so. Now we're moving to Nigeria. Don't forget to where and how to invest. Link is in description. Link is in description. Of course, you know this is powered by the Money Meter. I'm looking for the final news. Nigeria news. So Nigeria, not Nigeria, the SEC, that's Security and Exchange Commission, announced that some two platforms are illegal. Right now, I want to make you understand something. They did not say that they were fraudulent. They did not say that they were scammers, right? Understand, there are words for it. That's why there's scam and there's illegal. There are different things. That's why there's fraud. That's why there's bad investments. They are all different things, right? What the SEC said was that they announced that they are illegal platforms. What does that mean? In any jurisdiction, right? For you to actually, take public funds, you need to be licensed and registered with the SEC. Now, if you are taking public funds and you don't have the proper license for what you are doing, then you are illegal in the context of the SEC. However, it doesn't mean that you are a fraud. It doesn't mean you've stolen people's money, blah, 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 blah. And what you need to do is to go to the SEC and regularize. Why is this important? The SEC, which has their version in any country that has a financial system, is responsible for protecting public funds. So before you can take public funds, you must meet some certain criteria. You would have some reporting requirements. You would have some board requirements. You have some controls, compliance requirements. There are a lot of things that you must meet up with. I understand it is a lot. However, and maybe that's where the engagement should be with regulators, right? Because it is a lot. It actually is a lot. However, what we cannot say is that, okay, I'm good, I'm responsible, I'm not a thief, therefore I would disregard it. It can't work, because what will happen is that somebody that is actually now a thief would actually use that same energy and steal people's money, if you understand what I mean. So the SEC is doing their job. For me, on one side, I want to believe that SEC engaged privately before making this announcement, because I do not support just going into the news or making an announcement that someone is illegal without engaging them privately. So I would presume, for benefit of doubt, that they did that. However, and why do I say that? Because if you, for example, take people's money to invest in stocks, right? And everybody comes on the same day out of fear to ask for their money. You know, some stocks will be up, some stocks will be down. Doesn't mean it's a bad investment. You know that even if you sell all the stocks today, you will get the money in 2 to 3 days' time. So if everybody comes for their money today, you will not have money for them. That is a run. Such that making these announcements will spook people. And if you spook enough people, the company can actually shut down. And it's not because they stole your money. So I want to believe that the SEC is engaging with them, and for them, the solution is just to go and regularize. Like, what are the documents, what are the requirements, and meet up with it and find that middle ground. I also understand that because they're offering non-Nigerian assets, they might be looking more towards licensing in those countries, but you almost cannot operate in another jurisdiction with another country's licensing, if you get what I mean. So it's one of those places where both parties need to sit down together and fix it, because it does depend most is the investor. The person that will suffer the most is the investor, right? So yeah, that's that for that. So if you're an investor, it's not like they did not say they are scammers, right? So let's be clear on that. But on the other hand, they need to regularize with the SEC because they are operating in Nigeria. They need to. And then the last thing, fantastic news. Nigeria's petrol imports hit 8-year low as Dangote refinery reduces foreign dependency. Now, this is a real problem abroad. Like, in reading through this thing and just seeing the impact, a lot of European oil companies are sad. No vex. I'm laughing. But the reality is that each country has to take their own life in their own hands, right? And so this is what we've finally done. And big ups to Dangote. There's really not much to say here. I mean, it's just good news, right? Good news from an energy security perspective as a nation. Yes, it's in private hands, but guess what? The men who built America were private hands, they were not government hands. You guys, there's history. Like, we can look at history and see how these things will play out. Yeah, the mobile that you see, look, go on. So just go and watch The Men Who Built America and you understand what I mean, right? It was never in the hands of the government to build any country. That's actually the truth. It's just to create policy. That's what government is there for. So the people that will build are private individuals. So I want to say congratulations to Nigeria and the world, Africa. Yes, we're making progress, because I believe that as their refining capacity increases, then they would really go all out into supplying other African countries. And so we are taking back our energy security, which is really good. And so big ups to everyone. On this note, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that listened, and don't forget to share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe also. And don't forget this evening, link in bio, scan the barcode. Where and how to invest in 2025. And it matters wherever you are. Like, even if you are not in Nigeria, like wherever you are, the rules are the same. I can point you in the right direction. In the Money with Club, we have members that are in different countries of the world, like literally Canada, Saudi Arabia, wherever, Nairobi, wherever. So yeah, they're assets. They're actually things that you can do and you can start from now. So yes, have a beautiful day. Bye.